Hello and welcome to the Valley. Today I am your host, Janet Michael. We are live in the studio today. It is Public Safety Thursday with Captain Warren Gosnell from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. We've been having a spirited conversation pre-show about what we're going to talk about right now, and we both have some pretty animated opinions about one of our topics today.
Well, the first thing I have, oh my gosh, begolly, I have to talk about the land of the Irish.
Yes, I love my sheriff. I love my sheriff so much. And he sent that to me, and I literally laughed out loud, and I was in a meeting.
You people
and
can't
everybody
see
looked
it.
at me because they thought that I was laughing at them. And I'm like, no, my favorite sheriff just sent me a text, and I'm not going to share this image with you.
Yeah, it's a photo of Janet in an orange and green striped sweater talking about can't wait to go to Ireland so they can see me. It should be me orange, but it says my orange. And I was required to show this, and once I started looking at it, I couldn't look away. But, so I wanted to give that little nod out so the boss knows I did what I was directed to do.
He had been listening. So for some background and context, he had been listening to the show last Wednesday, which was with the Top of Virginia Regional Chamber. And at the end of that show, Missy Spielman was talking about a chamber. The chamber does travel now, and they're taking a trip to Ireland in March. And I told her that had always been on my bucket list.
The Ides of March.
He was listening to the show, and then not long after, I got that text from him.
Lovely. AI. Thank you so much.
I think it's awesome. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, they can do some miraculous stuff with this internet thing. But that's a conversation for another day. I don't even want to.
Well, we're sort of going to talk a little bit about that today.
We
not a direct AI thing, but somewhat of a thing. But before we get to all of that, I was telling you earlier when we were coming up with what we want to talk about today, I cannot believe these kids are going back to school next week. This is insane to me.
I'm telling you, the years just, they flash on by. And the only time I remember a shorter summer break was when I was in school and thought, we can't be going back already. And that's on top of football and 2 days and everything else. So some of us went back even earlier.
I remember we used to go back after Labor Day, and then it got to the week before Labor Day, and then most recently it's usually been a week or so. You go back, and then you get Labor Day off, so you don't go a full week, and then you come back after Labor Day, and it's like 2 weeks into school before you're there for 5 days in a row, and now it's next week.
And now they're talking, some localities are talking year-round school. I'm just like, there are going to be some SROs across the country going, hey, now.
Yeah, I don't have a dog in that fight anymore now that my kid is grown and gone, but I'm not a fan of school buses on the road all year long.
Can you imagine, and you know that one of my favorite travel spots is Las Vegas. And so whenever I'm in Las Vegas, we don't just hang out on the Las Vegas Strip. We have a rental car and we go do things, Red Rock Canyon and other areas that we go and we visit.
You drove to California on one of those trips.
Girl, I've done some driving. We've flown to Denver before, rented a car, gone to Salt Lake, out to San Francisco, then to Vegas. We've driven all the way from here. But yes, I've put some miles on some vehicles. But one of the things I look at when I'm out there and I'm driving around and we're going from place to place is some of the school zones that we pass through. And some of the schools are still in session the time of year that we're there. And all the school buses have those RV-style air conditioner units on top of them. Like, 2 of them on the school buses. And you think, well, ain't that fancy? But then you think, okay.
It's 114 degrees in the summer out here.
Well, not just in the summer.
Year round.
All right. You can be there in April, May, and you're hitting 100 degrees. And so I would like to think that back here, if for instance, one of the localities or Virginia itself said we're doing year-round school, we have places in the Commonwealth where I wouldn't want my child on a bus in the afternoon run, with only slotted windows to put down and to get a little breeze. So there are other considerations to give and to take. But, having the buses on the roads year-round, not giving us other drivers a little bit of a break. We've said it before, though, if you're on a bus route and you'll learn the times.
Yes.
It only take you a couple days. Just work around those times. But, back to school next week in Frederick County. I don't know for the other jurisdictions.
City of Winchester is the same. Warren County is the same. I'm not sure about Clark County, but I have to imagine it's probably pretty close too.
Well, they've got a set number of days they've got to try to get in, and then you got to factor in weather days and stuff that they may not be able to make. So I understand all the inner workings now that when I was a young lad,
We're
all I
irrelevant
knew
to
is this,
you.
look, it's snowing. Why in the heck am I walking down? Because I had to walk like a quarter mile from the house down to the bus stop
Uphill both ways.
with no shoes. People say, what'd you get for Christmas? I got underwear and shoes. Yeah, but what'd you get for Christmas? That's what I got, underwear and shoes
so
and
that
socks.
it was more comfortable to get to the bus stop.
Yeah, so, uphill both ways. I can tell you there were times I had to walk to school, and from where I lived to Musselman, once I was in high school, if I missed the bus, my parents didn't accept you missed the bus, you get to stay home. And they were working, and so
they were likely already gone.
Yes,
even. Yeah.
And so it was like, walk your butt down to, and it's about 2.5 miles.
I know where Musselman is. There is nothing around Musselman. Well, there might be now. There might be houses and condos and who knows what. But back in the day that I know you're talking about, it sat like in the middle of nowhere on Route 11.
Well, and we were a grade 7 through 12,
Wow.
So we didn't even have that intermediate junior high, whatever you want to call it. You went right from elementary school 6th grade to high school 7th grade, where you were mingling with sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and you're just like, okay, last year I was the big dog in the 6th grade class, and now I'm back to square one.
Oh, yeah.
But I would walk, if I missed the bus, and apparently I missed it more often than I should have.
Oh, hey.
But yeah, if it was snowing, I was like, come on now. You're listening to that radio. and then when I became a radio announcer, I felt for all those times I called into radio stations to ask about schools when the disc jockeys were like, please don't call the radio station. We'll let you know.
As soon as we know, you'll know.
Yeah, and we started doing that here, and I was just like, those people that were calling in, that's karma. That's karma getting back at me. But yeah, we're getting ready to head back to school, and so I wanted to talk a little bit, especially in a handful of the jurisdictions who are within our listening radius, and also those that can listen on the podcast, those that have school zone speed camera systems, to remind people, okay, you've had a few weeks, couple months maybe at the most, where you haven't had to worry about the flashing lights, you haven't had to worry about getting something in the mail, but that all changes next week.
Oh, yeah.
For us in Frederick County, I believe it's the 12th.
I think so, yeah.
That it's not the transition day. We are not going to run the cameras and the lights will be functioning, but we're giving that day as a freebie, as a, hey, you might want to remember. But the next full day where all the students are back, those cameras are back. There is no warning period like we did the 30 days last year.
And that's only because they were brand spanking new.
Correct.
So now people should be used to them and be aware.
So, and I can say this, I know Front Royal and Warren County use the same vendor that Frederick County does. So the things I'm going to talk about today are also in effect here in the area of the radio station. And one of those things that I wanted to talk about and remind people is that these cameras that we use, these Lidar units that are attached to these cameras in these active school zones, these are not LPRs. These are not license plate readers. LPR is license plate or
you said
recognition.
that earlier, and I wrote it down, and I'm thinking, I got to ask him what LPR is.
Well, some people say license plate reader, some people say license plate recognition, but it's LPR. And these camera systems from Blue Line Solutions here in Front Royal and in Frederick County are not those. These are video cameras that are attached to a LiDAR. A LiDAR is a laser device that measures speed. Radar is a device that measures speed, but it uses radio waves.
Right.
And with radio waves, they spread out. When they go from the antenna on the radar unit, they spread out from that point and get wider and get weaker. Whereas a LiDAR is a focused laser that at some ungodly amount of distance, it goes from a pinpoint to just being 3 inches wide.
Wow.
And so there is no way that this LiDAR can get two vehicles in its laser at once, and it's vehicle specific. It's a point and shoot. It targets a vehicle. So if it targets your vehicle and it says a speed, you can rest assured that was your vehicle and that's the speed. So the number one thing is the cameras are attached to a LiDAR. The cameras are running, but they are not recording anything up until
something crosses that path.
Something goes into the LiDAR beam at 10 miles an hour or more above the posted school zone speed limit. At that point, the LiDAR tells the video camera, save this 2 seconds. And it does. even then, that camera is not attached to any type of AI. It's not attached to any type of internal DMV system or anything else to access anybody's vehicle information. We don't use that. These cameras are not LPR. They are video. What happens is when that speed triggers the saving of that snapshot, not just a still picture, but 2 seconds of video movement showing the car in motion, it is then flagged by the system, and a human is told, hey, check this incident. And a human then sits there, and before they even run the tag, like a police officer would, when I'm behind you and I see you, I'm not doing anything but noticing what's in front of me. But if I notice something out of the ordinary, or you're doing something to catch my attention that's illegal, I can then take that tag, communicate it to dispatch, or type it into my own computer and get the information. This is the same thing. The person sitting in their cubicle looking at this video doesn't know anything yet other than they have a black pickup truck with a Virginia tag on it. What they do first is they check. Is this a day that school was supposed to be in session for the locality? If it's a yes, you move on. Is this time frame within the time frame that this school zone is supposed to be active and being enforced? If yes, you click the box. Now.
And if no, it all stops in
Correct.
either of those situations.
Correct. The third thing is we have another camera that is focused on the set of flashing lights. We call it a beacon. Mm-hmm. The beacon is flashing, telling the motorist, hey, you need to slow down to this speed limit. There is a video that shows 4 seconds before the car triggered the camera and 4 seconds after it triggered it to make sure the beacon lights were flashing the entire time. Mm-hmm. If that's yes, boom. Now the person takes the tag, reads it, if it's legible. They have 7 different shutter settings on these cameras. So if it's dark outside, if it's that time of year and it's dark outside, if it's raining, if it's cloudy, if there is a sun glare, they can go through these different exposures. And if they can clearly read that tag, they then, a human being, enters that information just as a police officer or a dispatcher would, and they get a return on the registered owner. At that point, the human who is reviewing all of this enters that registered owner's information, that vehicle information, into the incident packet, and that packet is then forwarded to law enforcement.
Who does all of that all over again.
Everything that person just did to verify. Was it a day they were supposed to be school? Is it within the hours? Are the beacon lights flashing? And then can I read that tag? Is it accurate? And does the registration closely match what I see in the video? Sometimes vehicle colors can be wrong. Sometimes people don't update their tags in appropriate manner. Sometimes their tags are expired or on a wrong car. But if things line up to look like everything else is right, then law enforcement checks the box and says, yes, that's a valid violation. That then goes back to the vendor who issues the civil penalty. And again, these are civil penalties. These aren't traffic infractions. They're not criminal offenses. They don't go on driving records. They don't cause points, and your insurance company isn't notified. It's a $100 civil penalty. So at no point in time, and what I want to stress the most is AI or any other government body reading every tag of every car that goes by. And if you're concerned that a video camera is still watching cars go by, then you have other concerns you need to worry about as far as businesses that have parking lot surveillance that also captures the road, ring cameras of people who live along the roadway.
I said that to you.
Your cars are on so many videos, folks, and that's the thing. And that's the difference between this system for school zone speed enforcement versus a true LPR system, which we'll talk about when we come back.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into those types of systems with Captain Warren Gosnell. It is Public Safety Thursday. He, of course, is representing the Frederick County Sheriff's Office, where my favorite sheriff is the favorite sheriff of all of the land. And we're going to do more of that when we come back in just a couple of minutes.
Wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way, improving lives so everyone can thrive. Where more people can gain access to healthcare and nutritious food for their tables. Where more community members can benefit from financial education and get connected to local resources for housing support. And where children are given more chances to reach their full potential. Community is where we find our strength and where we share our hope. United is the way. Visit unitedway.org.
Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. We are live in the studio today.
You know, one of the bad things I'll have to admit about being live is when you realize the studio clock is not accurate, and so you go over your first segment, and so now you've shortened the second segment.
Yeah, the studio clock is showing 12:26, which is what time it was when we actually went to break.
Yes, and so you're trying to calculate. Okay, I got to be done by this amount of time. You know, hey, this is a smooth running machine right here, and I don't want to be the nail in the tire, so to say. So yeah.
That's why for Public Safety Thursday, you're the only one that I allow to do a live show because you understand all of that. And I can trust that you'll show up because you have lights and sirens.
Well, and I know what time it is when Mickey's one hand is on the 12 and his other hand is on the 4. So
if you've never listened to the show before, welcome.
Yes.
That is the voice of Captain Warren Gosnell from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. So when we went to break, we were talking about the cameras and the back-to-school zones.
Yes.
We talked a little bit about LPRs, license plate reader cameras, which is not what is in those school zone cameras. But then you were saying something interesting about how we have cameras everywhere. People have cameras. I have a Blink camera that sits in my front window that logs every single car that goes by my house, every single person that runs by my house. I can give you images of whether your dudes in the police academy are actually running by the time they get to my house or whether they're walking.
Well, I mean, as long as they're still in motion, we're good. It's the one that's laying in your front yard that, hey, give us a call. Yeah, give us a call. So when we left off, we were talking about the school zone speed limit enforcement, the cameras we use for enforcement from the vendor that we use in Frederick County, who is also the vendor here in Front Royal and Warren County. And so there may be other systems out there, and you may be listening somewhere other than our immediate area on the podcast. And so I'm talking about what we use and what we have here in our area. I'm just assuring everybody again that the only way you're being logged at all by a human being is if you're 10 or more above the posted speed limit. If you're below that, that camera isn't recognizing you. It's not keeping any of your data. It's not able to access your data, even if you were above the limit. All it can do is capture the 2 seconds and tell a human, hey, look at this.
And what is the name of the company that you use?
Blue Line Solutions.
Because I would think if you're in Shenandoah County or you're in Page County or or on the podcast you're somewhere else, you can look it up and your locality will tell you what system they use.
Or if you've gotten a violation, it'll say so right on there who the company is. And so, you know, it'll have details of the law enforcement agency, but it'll also have details of who that vendor is that's providing that service. And so that leads us into some of the discussions. People have been hitting me up and asking, you know, about Flock cameras. Now, Flock is a brand name, and I told Janet during the break, I'm not pro Flock, anti Flock. You know, what the Flock? I don't play into that, and so there are other systems out there. These are LPR systems. And these are systems that are designed that do indeed make note of any vehicle that passes by within their view. As far as license plate, some of them now with AI capabilities and such are able to say it was a white truck. It was a white Dodge truck. It is expanding in what it can recognize and document.
And the more that it gathers, the better it will get as time goes on.
And the thing here becomes, or at least the people who have asked me, is about the invasion of privacy. You have an expectation of privacy. You have amendment rights from the Constitution that say you are to be free of illegal search and seizure without proper warrant. And so some people feel this is a search. And my response from a professional standpoint would be that this is no more search than if I go out in front of my house and sit there in my lawn chair back in the day with my 2-ton VHS camera up on my shoulder, or in the 90s, my little mini cassette handheld up in front of my eye, or today with just my phone, and record every single person that wants to drive by my house. It is no different. I can do that, and you, the general public driving on the roadways, have given up that level of expectation of privacy as far as your vehicle and its tag. Those are all public information. Anybody can see it.
Right.
And anybody can read your tag. So nothing that isn't already taking place is happening with any type of Flock-type camera. What does concern people and would concern me is misuse of the data. And that's what we're truly talking about here.
Right.
It's not the fact that a system knows where you have traveled through and knows that you went down Main Street and then you were on 5th Street and then you came back to Church Street. That's not the issue here. The issue is if someone in an official capacity without the proper authorization, the reasonable suspicion, the probable cause that's needed if they wanted to search you or your vehicle or your home, the ones that are doing it without that then get into a system and access information illegally.
Right.
And all I can say about that is there are those people out there.
It happens. I just saw an article where a law enforcement officer in one of the Midwest states, I think, used it to track his ex-girlfriend.
And here's my thing. And some people might say, well, then we shouldn't be using these. No. But here's what I'm going to say. For the handful of numbskulls that are doing this and getting caught and then being punished for it, for the number of those that are taking place that did violate a person's rights and should be accountable to it, the number of times this system has helped. Finding wanted subjects, not just someone who was wanted for jaywalking. We're talking somebody who was a violent sex offender, right. Someone that was a child predator, someone that had abducted a child and still had the child, someone that had killed someone. The number of these people that are being apprehended and located based on the use of this system outweighs the number of people who are misusing it and, again, are being caught and being punished. So what I would like to see, and again, I'm here representing the sheriff's office, but I do have some of my own opinions as a professional law enforcement officer and as a person who likes his own privacy. Right. I told you during the break, what I do in my house is my business. What me and my wife do in our house is our business. Who we choose to associate with is our business. But I also realize that when I go out onto the streets, I give up certain expectations to that privacy. I have certain obligations to operate my vehicle safely, to be in compliance with required inspections and registrations. And if you don't believe in those things, that's a different topic. But it is a requirement that that you have to do. Right. So I give up those certain things. What I would like to see is that the inner workings of the system seem to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. Let's make sure that the people accessing the system are doing what they're supposed to be doing and aren't able, have a two-pronged authentication system. If you
log in, somebody else has to see why are you logging in and is that a valid reason, and click OK before that happens.
And for those that say, why do we have to double up on work? It's a fail-safe, and if that brings a portion of the population peace of mind, then why not?
Right?
If I walk in and say, Janet, I need to check this tag and see if we can see where it's been traveling, you can be the one to say, okay, why are we doing this? And so we are both now agreeing that, okay, here's why I want it. And if you think, well, I don't know that we're authorized to do that, okay, we can check it. But if you're like, yep, that's within what we can do, we have both now signed off on this. You don't have a lone wolf out here doing things that may be slipping through the cracks, like tracking an ex-girlfriend until he finally gets caught. So that's one simple way that you can try to give a little peace of mind. And I also told you that we're going to have someone or someones that it's not going to matter what I sit here and say. It's not going to matter what comes.
Right.
It's going to be, nope. You can't. You shouldn't be able to do it. Y'all don't need to be in my business, and I understand that. But here's what I'll say: if you drive by one of these camera systems, they're gonna log your tag, maybe your car information, date, time, and where the camera's located. But if you are on foot and you walk by, it's not doing nothing.
Oh, I didn't realize it's not capturing all activity, just driving.
All it's doing, it's a license plate recognition system.
Oh, okay.
It waits for a plate to go by, and it goes beep, beep, beep,
Oh,
and then
nice.
it saves it. If you go walking by, and like checkpoints, we've had this talk before. In Virginia, now there are other states, again, some things change slightly here and there. Some states don't require you to provide your license and information upon being stopped. Virginia's not one of them.
Right.
You know, if I stop you, whether you disagree whether I had the right to stop you or not, that's a different argument for court. But if I stop you in uniform with lights and sirens and I'm recognizable as a law enforcement officer, Virginia Code says you shall provide the information requested. At a checkpoint, that's what we do with every car that comes through. Hi, can I see your license and registration? Everything is okay. You go. If you don't provide that, we're going to pull you to the side. But if you come walking through there, if you come riding your bike on the shoulder of the road through there, you just keep on going. We don't stop you. We don't identify you. You're not operating a vehicle on the roadway. You are free in your movement as a person within the United States of America, enjoying your granted civil rights and liberties. But when you get behind the wheel of that car, you have agreed by that action, by putting the tags on the car, by obtaining your driver's license, you have consented to be held accountable for certain aspects of the ability to operate your vehicle on those highways. And again, if that's something that you don't agree with, we're not going to convince you, and that's a discussion for another day.
Although it is ironic to me that I would hazard a guess a decent amount of those people who just think it's wrong all day long are the ones that are posting in one of my favorite Facebook groups, which is the driver shaming group. They're the first ones to pull out their phone and take a picture of a car that is parked in a handicapped space it shouldn't be, or any number of things, yet they don't think it should apply to them.
Folks, how long do we have? We have 2 minutes? We have 2 minutes?
2 minutes,
All
Lonnie
right.
says.
Real quick, First Amendment auditors. If you're not familiar with this, these are the people that go around with their cameras videotaping anybody and everybody anywhere that they want that's publicly accessible space. And so a lot of these auditors will go to government facilities or try to engage like with police officers and such in an official capacity, knowing that, in certain areas, I'm required, to identify myself. If I'm in uniform, you want my name and badge number, I'll gladly give it to you. But these people also, we're down to 1 minute, get up in front of other citizens with their cameras, and those citizens feel you don't have the right to tape me. Folks, this isn't limited to just law enforcement. If you're out in public, you can be videotaped by anybody else in a public space. Your car can be videotaped. They can post those pictures to your social media, whether it's yours or theirs, and they can say what they want. That's also within the Constitution, freedom of speech.
Goes both ways.
They do try to claim they're the press, but that's
even I don't
stretching
think
it.
I'm the press.
That's what I have. School's starting. Be safe. Watch out for the buses. Watch out for those school zones. Lights are flashing either on the bus or on the sign. Do what it says to do. Don't do what it says not to do, and you'll be fine. Otherwise, chips are going to fall where they fall.
Thank you for the education.
Yes, ma'am.
I will be back tomorrow. Got a brand new episode of The Valley today coming up for you just a few minutes after noon, so meet me here then.